This is the Black Mormon Reader, and I will be reading verses from the fourth chapter of the book of Alma. And in this book, there has been peace in the land of Zarahemla for 6 years. But the country has been devastated by war. And this devastation caused the people to want to get closer to God. We witnessed the same thing in our country with 9/11, and I suppose in any country where there's this great devastation, there is a want, a desire to get closer to God. So this is what happened in the land of Zarahemla. Okay. And so great were their afflictions that every soul had cause to mourn. And they began to establish the church more fully. Yea, many were baptized in the waters of Sidon, and were joined to the church of God. They were baptized by the hands of Alma, who had been consecrated the high priest over the people of the church by the hand of his father Alma. And in the 7th year, God had blessed them exceedingly. The church had began to grow, and you had a period of peace in the land. But we go to the 8th year, and here's what happened. And it came to pass in the 8th year of the reign of judges that the people of the church began to wax proud because of their exceeding riches, their fine silks and their fine threaded linen, and because of their many flocks and herds, and their gold and their silver, and all manner of precious things which they had obtained by their industry. And in all these things were they lifted up in the pride of their eyes, for they began to wear very costly apparel. Now this caused much affliction to Alma. God had blessed these peoples, and now these peoples are being lifted up in pride. But it gets worse. For Alma saw, and his priests and teachers and everybody, the leadership of the church saw, for they saw and beheld with great sorrow that the people of the church began to be lifted up in the pride of their own eyes, and to set their hearts upon riches. They began to be scornful one towards another, and they began to persecute those that did not believe according to their own wills or pleasures. So thus they began to persecute people who were not in the church. In the land of Zarahemla, you had people who were in the church and people who were not in the church. And so these people in the church began to persecute those people who were not in the church. And thus in the 8th year of the reign of judges, there began to be great contention among the people of the church. Yea, there were envying and strife and malice and persecution and pride, even to exceed the pride of those who did not belong to the church of God. So now we have this contention going on, not with the Lamanites or the Amlicites, but with themselves, with themselves. Okay, let us continue. Now this was a great cause of lamentation among the people. We're talking about people who was in the church. While others were basing themselves, they were succoring themselves who stood in need of succor, such as imparting their substance to the poor and the needy, and feeding the hungry, and suffering all manners of afflictions for Christ's sake, who should come according to the spirit of prophecy. And Alma prayed to God for a solution. It says, and now it came to pass that Alma, having seen the afflictions of the humble followers of God, and the persecutions which were heaped upon them by the remainder of his people, and seeing their inequalities, began to be very sorrowful. Nevertheless, the Spirit of the Lord did fall up on him. And he selected a wise man among the elders of the church, and gave him the power according to the voice of the people, that he might have power to enact laws according to the laws which had been given, and to put in force according to the wickedness and the crimes of the people. So this man that Alma select is called Nephiah. And now Alma did not grant unto him the office of being high priest over the church, but delivered the judgment seat to Nephiah. And so Nephiah becomes the judge over the people. And Alma did this that he might preach the word of God unto them, and stir them up in remembrance of their duty, and that he might pull down by the word of God all the pride and craftiness and all the contentions which was among his people, seeing no way that he might reclaim them, save it be bearing down in pure testimony against them. So Alma gives up his position on the judgment seat, and he goes out and he begins to preach among the people, trying to stir them up and make them remember how far God had brought them. And Nephiah, okay, he was confined, forget that. And thus, in the 9th year of the reign of Judges, so in the 9th year, so we go from 6, 7, 8, 9, I mean, that's a short span of time, that Alma gives up his seat and Alma starts preaching again. Very interesting. Until next time, this is the Black Mormon Reader.